everyone. My name's Cody,
Molly, Lily, Audrey, Gracie.
and this is our presentation on Delta Airlines. So, starting off with history, Delta was founded in 1925 as a crop dusting company, and when they began, they had only 18 planes in their fleet. Today, Delta has over 850 commercial jets, and they're the third largest airline company in the industry. It's amazing to me that a company can start off so small and become so huge and in such a, not a short amount of time, but in long term, that's pretty quick. Delta is also a very innovative company, and they love their first mover advantage, that's for sure. And here's just a short list of their first airline to ban smoking, first to implement onboard recycling, first switch to onboard video consoles, and this is just a short list. The list goes on and on and on. They like to be ahead of the game. And then in 1959, Delta rebranded, and they came up with this triangular widget logo. And the triangle is supposed to represent the wings of a jet, the sweeping wings of a jet. And today, most of us have flown, and when we see that triangle logo, we know exactly what company we're looking at. All right, now the environmental analysis. Our environmental analysis consists of 4 factors. We have our competitive, our economic, our technological, and our sociocultural factors. The environmental analysis is a very important part of our marketing strategy. It helps us see what we can improve upon and what we need to do. So beginning with our competitive analysis, when we think of the big 3 companies in the United States, we think of Delta, American, and United. And down on this graph here, you can see Southwest is also a really big one. For us it doesn't necessarily come to mind, but they have a huge market share, so we could make that 4. But anyways, when people think of these 3 or 4 airlines, we think of the most expensive, probably the best option would be Delta. And this is due to their high quality. They have a high quality service and product. Their airfare is more expensive than others, but they don't hide their fees in like luggage and stuff, so like other companies do. Now we have our economic factors, and today economic factors are really driving the airline industry. One good example that we all lived through is the COVID pandemic. I don't know about you guys, but like spring 2021, I was trying to go on spring break, and looking at airline tickets was nice because they're like $120 for a round trip to Florida. I was like, cool. But anyways, another one right now would be the Russian-Ukraine conflict. We've all heard about it, and we've all felt the effects of the gas prices rising, and it is definitely not cheap to fill up an airplane with gas, so they're definitely feeling the effects of that. Next, we have our technological factors. Technology is always evolving in the airline industry. Airplanes, onboard services, luggage services, all that stuff is always increasing. And one example of their technological advances is in-air streaming. Now all airlines mainly have streaming, but they were the first to have it, and domestically on flights within the United States. But it goes to show that every airline is always struggling to add new technology, and Delta really does a good job of staying ahead. Finally, we have our sociocultural factors, and socioeconomic status is a really big part of their marketing. A lot of people really look at flying as being a luxury and something that they might not be able to afford, so like once a year they go on vacation. And then there's people who have to do it for business, and wealthier people that fly a lot. So you have to market it to both of those kinds of people. Also, another good example would be the difference between generations. Like for, let's say, millennials they want to fly, they'd rather fly than drive, like do a big road trip. They're going across the country. Whereas older generations, such as the baby boomers, they don't trust flying as much. They would much rather go on that long road trip. And now I'll hand it off to Gracie.
So Delta's marketing objectives are found in their mission statement, and it says, "We Delta employees, customers, and community partners together form a force for positive local and global change dedicated to bettering standards of living and the environment where we and our customers live and work." And they do this through partnering or supporting YMCA, Atlanta Public Schools, Junior Achievement, and National Flight Academy. They also raised $2 million for American Cancer Association and breast cancer research. And reducing emissions through carbon offset, which they do through making new aircraft 25% more fuel efficient, reducing single-use plastic, recycling material, and in 2020 they donated 50,000 old uniforms to waste recovery to avoid putting them in landfills. And their main target market is business travelers. They target them through different seating options. They have 4. They have economy, premium economy, business, and first class. They also offer Delta Comfort Plus, which offers priority boarding, larger and closer overhead flying bins. And if you're flying domestically, you can get free alcohol beverages and more space overall. Sky Miles, anybody can sign up for. It's a free program. And the more flights you take, along with the type of seating you have, offers miles that you can apply towards future flights. And anybody can get the Delta app. You can reschedule canceled flights, get flight notifications, and view flight delays and check-in times. Overall, I think Delta does a good job at meeting their marketing objectives that they listed in their mission statement.
Okay, so for the marketing mix, Delta's product focuses on providing tangible and intangible aspects of a service. So they provide flights, but they also want to have an experience that they give to their customers. And we all know that they provide passenger flights, but they also have a cargo segment as well. So they can let businesses and companies utilize their product as well. They have a lot of on-flight amenities, and in 2021 they were ranked as the top with the on-time arrival rate. So like 87% of their flights arrive within 15 minutes of their scheduled landing, which is really good for them. They also have a user-friendly website where you can also rent cars and hotels for your destination, not only book flights. And with COVID-19, they've put a lot into their health and safety measures, making sure that customers feel welcome and safe, especially this time. And they're really committed to their customer service, making sure that they have positive interactions with employees. For their flights, they are based out of Atlanta, Georgia, but they have a very large reach, and most of their hubs are even international. They fly to over 300 destinations in over 60 countries, and up here you can kind of get an idea of how large that really is. And their involvement in joint ventures and as a member of the SkyTeam Alliance, it lets customers that aren't necessarily directly flying with them still get part of that experience that like Delta provides. And a point that I think is really big is smaller airports, even in rural areas. Delta has presence there. Like if there's an airport with like 2 flights a day, I know Northern Michigan has a few that Delta does both those flights, so customers like don't really have an option to choose, but that'll make them choose in the future. For price, Delta it's not the lowest, but they believe that their higher prices are worth it, and that they're getting what they paid for with the experience. And if Delta continues to fill their planes and have success, then obviously their prices are working well for the market right now. And like you mentioned before, the Sky Miles and different seating options, those can help with different financial needs as well. Promotion, they utilize a lot of the same channels as other big businesses would. But what I think is really strategic is their advertising that they do in airports. So their target audience is all in one place. You know that if they're there, they'd be interested in flying again in the future. Charitable campaign. Recently they've donated a lot of time and money to help in Ukraine. Sponsorships and partnerships. They fly big professional sports teams, and they just announced that they're the official airline of Team USA. So that involvement just gets them recognition and time in the news, and that increases the public's awareness of their brand.
Alright, so Delta has a lot of strengths as they've been the leading airline company in the US since 1925. And they also have a strong brand presence internationally, mainly because they offer many flights both domestic and to international destinations. This also means that they have to employ a lot of people, which then gets their brand out into the public and awareness that way. Their Sky Miles program also helps increase brand loyalty because customers are able to earn points and miles that they can put forward to future flights, either upgrading their seat or just getting a lower price on a ticket. Some of their weaknesses, they do have heavy competition from other airlines in the industry, mainly United and American, and their prices do tend to be a little bit higher than the others. It is made up for in in-flight experience, but the higher price tag usually discourages people from booking with them. And while they do have a large presence internationally, they do largely rely on American customers flying to and from foreign countries, so it means that their customer base is mainly limited to the United States. Opportunities, growing flights to a number of US cities or international cities could increase business for their brand, and as the travel industry is recovering from the recent pandemic, partnering with international airlines to create international travel at an affordable rate could help them in the future, as people will be more likely to book with them if they get a lower price on international travel now. And then some of their threats, for any number of reasons, flight operating costs could increase, including the price of jet fuel, which then they have to keep prices relatively low for tickets, which then means that they would ultimately have a decrease in some of the profits for their company. And then, as we've seen lately, changes in economic policy, recession, pandemics, or wars and civil unrest can lead to negative impacts on the travel industry and then Delta as a whole. I'll pass it to Molly.
So I did the case study and I compared it with American Airlines. So American might be Delta's one of the biggest competitors. They've been flying since 1926 and were international since the 1940s. They recently faced bankruptcy. It was like in the last 10 years, and then that's when they merged with US Airlines, and then they created the largest airline in the world. And then for Delta, they need to make sure that they are doing well because American was successfully able to exit bankruptcy. And then I did energy efficiency. So American wants to cut their CO2 emissions and then replace their older planes with newer planes. And since 2013, they introduced 500 newer models. And they replaced the Boeing 767s with the 787s. They want 50% emission reductions by 2050. And then for Delta, they want to become a more carbon neutral airline. And then, so American's goals seem more realistic, but if Delta were able to achieve their goals, that would be better. But if Delta's not able to achieve, people might look at American being more energy efficient and they may choose to fly with them instead. But in 2019, Delta had introduced the Airbus A22 jet, and these planes have like bigger seating, more space, bigger bathrooms, so people are more attracted to that plane specifically and then choose to fly with Delta instead.